Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to look at this video that was sent to me on Instagram. Thank you so much to the person who sent it. Basically, I want to go ahead and watch this. We're going to just watch this person's take. I actually can't read this comment. Let me see. I can make it bigger, but I don't know if I can. No, I can't. Yeah, steroids are not fat loss works the same way. It's always calories in versus calories out. Okay, that's what they said. So, whoa, what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and listen to her rant, and we will get to the video after.
Okay, so now that I'm getting an influx of comments saying that it's just calories in, calories out, I guess you guys want a thermodynamics lesson, and I'll oblige because I have a mechanical engineering degree, and actually I used to tutor thermodynamics. I was really good at it. The thing with calories in, calories out is basically a simplified way of saying the first law of thermodynamics, which is that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. So when we talk calories in, we're talking about the food that we're consuming. Calories out is the energy that our body is expending throughout the day. Now, you can guesstimate what that number is. You can look up things like your basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of energy that your body expends completely at rest over a 24-hour period. That's oversimplified, but that's basically what your basal, it's the minimum amount of calories that your body needs to run on any given day. And then we usually multiply that by an activity factor. So for me, I lift weights 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I would multiply it, say, by 1.5, which would probably give me somewhere in the 2,000 to 3,000 calorie range. Okay, that's great and all, but the calories in, not always exact. So calorie is actually a unit of energy. It's not a unit of food. So I know that colloquially we hear this and we think of food, but calorie is like a joule. It's like a unit of energy used in thermodynamics. And how they measure that with food is they burn the food and they figure out how much heat is given off the food. That's how we measure a calorie, okay? That's not super accurate because the metabolic pathways that calories take once they go in our body is not always going to be the same from macro to macro, from different types of fats to different types of fats, different types of carbs to carbs, proteins to proteins, okay? Some metabolic pathways take more energy than others. So the calories in, not always going to be accurate. You can't just look at a nutrition label and know exactly what you're putting in your body. Now, here's where it becomes complicated and why this is not a simple way to measure calories in, calories out. How do you know your calories out? How do you know how much energy you're expending in a day? We can't measure it. We don't have a perfect scientific process to figure out how much a human body expends in any given 24-hour period, and it fluctuates from day to day. So if you, let's say you find your basal metabolic rate, you multiply it times a 1.5 activity factor, that's a guesstimate. That's an average that you think that you're staying at. Things that can change your calories out, your activity level, obviously, changes in your body composition, whether they're intentional or not. Hormones change this drastically. Okay, your metabolism can change because of health issues, because of hormone issues. Another major thing that can change your metabolism is medication. That can be one of the side effects, is that it can change the speed of your metabolism. It can change things in your digestive tract so that you absorb more or less food. Lots of things that can change your calories out number. So there are all different ways that the calories out can change. And a lot of those are out of our control. And that's what people have been trying to tell you guys for years. It's not that simple. It's not just calories in, calories out. There's so many different factors that happen, so many complicated factors in the human body that y'all just don't understand. And you need to leave this to the professionals because it's not as easy as eating less and exercising more. Okay, so
Basically what this was, the person that sent it to me, they thought that maybe she was kind of MSP. I don't see it as MSP, but I do see it as toxic ritualistic reinforcement. So what is she doing? She's mystifying caloric realism. She's trying to get rid of it, basically. I don't know if she herself has an issue. To be honest, I feel like she's kind of virtue signaling to people that have an E followed by the letter D, people that are within BINGE, you know, a lot of people that have that issue parrot the same talking points over and over again. My thin friend eats so much less than me, but like all of these lies that people say. And I think that she's heard all that and she's coming up with some scientific mumbo jumbo, pseudoscientific mumbo jumbo in order to mystify or create a mysticism around calories. You have to realize that within the toxic ritualistic, all of them really, there is not caloric realism, there's caloric mysticism. It's the idea that because something is an estimate, it cannot be used. That's not true. It's not true whatsoever. You know the best way to tell what your metabolic rate is and all that stuff? Count your calories, then slowly decrease them, even over weeks at a time, and see how long until you start to lose. Especially if you're super morbidly obese, you will start to lose right away. The second that you cut enough, it will start to come off. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it physically. You feel it in a lot of ways, especially physically, if you are super morbid, but you can even feel it emotionally in these types of ways too. If you pay attention to it, you can tell when you are in a deficit. It's very obvious. And so when I hear her rant about this, it's very odd just because I have downsized through calories in, calories out. Yes, I did take care of hormone health. Yes, I did do a prothyroid protocol, and I continue to, although I'm not perfect anymore because I don't have to be. So I do make certain compromises. As I've told you guys, my journey has evolved, but when I first started, I was incredibly strict in terms of calories. Or not calories, sorry, in terms of prothyroid. So now I make some compromises here or there in terms of my thyroid health, but it's because my thyroid is strong enough to handle it. So let's go ahead and listen to this again, and we'll break it down piece by piece.
So now that I'm getting an influx of comments saying that it's just calories in, calories out, I guess you guys want a thermodynamics lesson, and I'll oblige because I have a mechanical engineering degree, and actually I used to tutor thermodynamics.
So having a mechanical engineering degree, it has nothing to do with calories. Like, it's not related at all whatsoever. So it's like an appeal to authority that just is not hitting whatsoever. It's just not. Sorry. It doesn't mean anything to me.
I was really good at it. The thing with calories in, calories out is basically a simplified way of saying the first law of thermodynamics, which is that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another.
Yes, that's exactly the case. And I've had some issues with some gym bro logic on my channel that cannot accept that I'm able to build muscle, or at least I was. It's really slowed down now. But at a certain body fat percentage, I could build muscle incredibly fast with the way that my health was, being mid-size, with the amount of fat I still had on my body, which is calories. It blows my mind how sometimes the gym bro logic runs so deep that they will deny caloric realism. They will deny the fact that calories on your body are stored as fat, which is pretty fundamental to the anti-FA space. But the fact that people literally can't understand it because they themselves, when they probably have never been overweight, can't put on a bunch of muscle in a deficit, it's a bit ridiculous. But again, people forget these very basic facts when it comes to fatness. I've seen it too with, like, when I was super morbidly obese, people told me that I was having psychosomatic issues, that I wasn't actually that unhealthy, like this type of stuff. Like, people do not believe the very basics when it comes to fatness. Basics, to the point where they're questioning why I'm able to put on muscle when they're like, you have to have excess calories. I have them on my body. It blew my mind. That whole thing blew my mind, but it showed me and gave me a reality check that people do not understand caloric realism, even if they aren't fat. A lot of people don't understand it. So yes, energy cannot be created or destroyed. But yes, your body can use, especially an abundance of calories on your body in the form of fat, to build muscle, especially if you're eating plenty of protein, which I have been. Duh. Anyways, let's continue.
So when we talk calories in, we're talking about the food that we're consuming. Calories out is the energy that our body is expending throughout the day. Now, you can guesstimate what that number is.
Sure, and you can find it if you track it well enough, and you can see when you're going up and down and etc. It can be a little bit more complicated for a woman if she's having her period every month, as weight fluctuates, but you can also track that too. It's at least somewhat predictable, mostly predictable for most women. And so you can track everything, and you can see what's happening. It's not that mystical. This isn't magic, you guys. It's not. I've never seen a scientist push for such mysticism on such a fundamental basic thing. But here we are. People will do this. They will do it. I don't know if she's doing it because she's toxically ritualistic. I think she's doing it to virtue signal and to kind of like provide quote unquote understanding for the toxic ritualistic, even though she's not. She's just reinforcing. So her efforts are totally misplaced, and it's not actually, as Gen Z would say, she's not actually eating. Okay.
You can look up things like your basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of energy that your body...
You can, and you can also experiment. At the end of the day, you can experiment. You can check in different apps. I use an app that worked for me. It's been accurate. You have to be honest about how active your lifestyle is. You have to do this stuff. I don't have a sedentary lifestyle, so it has worked very well for me. The amount that I have used on that app, I can't remember what app it is. I'm a flop, but it has like a green apple on it. I think it's My Nut Diary. That's the one that I personally have used, but you can find one that will work for you. You can experiment with different ones. It's not a race. And if you very, very slowly but steadily reduce calories, you will find the point where you start to downsize. But don't do it massively, just slowly. Okay.
It expends completely at rest over a 24-hour period. That's oversimplified, but that's basically what your basal... It's the minimum amount of calories that your body needs to run on any given day. And then we usually multiply that by an activity factor. So for me, I lift weights 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I would multiply it, say, by 1.5, which would probably give me somewhere in the 2,000 to 3,000 calorie range, okay? That's great and all, but the calories in, not always exact. So calorie is actually a unit of energy. It's not a unit of food. So I know...
It doesn't matter. Estimates are good enough. It doesn't have to be exact. Just like you don't have to be perfect on your journey to still have progress, you don't have to have perfect tracking. It has to be close enough, which the numbers, the estimates, all that stuff, it is close enough. She may not want to hear that. I don't know why she doesn't want to hear that, but it is close enough. It's close enough to look at a tablespoon of sugar having 45 calories in it, for example. That is close enough. If it's not exact, it doesn't matter. What is it, 43? My suggestion to you is don't count your NEAT, your non-exercise activity. I don't know what NEAT stands for exactly, but don't count that. That would be my suggestion. If you go to the gym and you do a dedicated workout, then I would count those calories towards it. But let your NEAT be your NEAT, because it will help you if you do mess up a little bit. It's okay.
So that colloquially, we hear this and we think of food, but calorie is like a joule. It's like a unit of energy used in thermodynamics. And how they measure that with food is they burn the food and they figure out how much heat is given off the food. That's how we measure.
Why are we acting like this is a big deal, or this is like witchcraft and wizardry, It's like, okay, what does this have to do with disproving it? Not anything a part of your argument. Like, it's not giving anything.
A calorie, okay? That's not super accurate because the metabolic pathways that calories take once they go in our body is not always going to be the same
But the amount of energy in the food is the same. So you're talking about individual differences within processing the calories, not the actual calories within it, which, yes, they are still estimates, but it's not going to be all that different. Is it 43 calories in a tablespoon of sugar, or is it 47? Is it really that different? No, it's not. Now, in somebody's body, it's still not going to be like these drastic swings. She's acting like somebody could eat 45 calories of sugar and one person will get 5 out of it and the other person will get 50. The other person will like materialize calories within their body. Like, that's not going to happen. Maybe that person would process it, and instead of it being 45 calories, they'd process 40. Maybe somebody else would process 35. These are very, very tiny differences that across an entire day could maybe amount to anywhere between, I would say, maybe 100 calories or less of a difference. Anything that, just basic walking around, if you're not laying in bed all the time, that would cover that difference. And remember, when you're super morbidly obese, walking around is a lot of calories. It is. It takes a lot of effort to move your body around. So it's like, it's enough. And when you tend to be at smaller sizes, you tend to pace and you want to walk around a lot and stuff. And if you get restless like I do, and a lot of people do, as they downsize, you pace a lot. So your bases are covered. So I'm trying to say, it's like, you're going to be okay to burn that 100 calorie difference, maybe. That's what she's talking about here. She's acting like, and I'm talking about for the whole day. It's not like people don't have magic metabolism where it's like one person can eat a cheeseburger and they process 800 calories and the other person can eat the same cheeseburger and they'll process 300. That doesn't happen. That's what she's acting like. It'd be a tiny difference. Tiny. Tiny, tiny, tiny.
From macro to macro, from different types of fats to different types of fats, different
tiny differences. Tiny, 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 tiny differences.
Types of carbs to carbs, proteins to proteins. Okay.
Very minute, extremely minute differences. You're being ridiculous.
Some metabolic pathways take more energy than others.
Not that much more. You see, when she's talking like this, somebody's going to hear this and think, oh, if I have carbs, but if I have the same amount of calories of protein versus carbs, that protein, it's only going to process 50 calories and the carb is going to process 150. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But that's how people in the toxic ritualistic, that's how they think. So carbs are bad, protein's good. You see, it's adding this mysticism in this kind of like false gray area, probably from a super black and white thinking. People within the toxic ritualistic, they try to overcompensate by making something so gray that really isn't that gray. It's tiny. These are tiny, tiny differences. She's being ridiculous. And in the case of calories from fat, for example, it's accounted for. They count it differently within each gram. It's like, and that does factor into the calories that you are counting. So what is she saying here? Those differences are accounted for between fat and carbs and protein. What are you saying? That isn't tracked at all? Like, no, it is. It's just stupid.
So the calories in, not always going to be accurate.
No, it's accurate enough. I would tell somebody it's not 100% all the time. But if you're off by a few here or there, it's going to be okay. Like I said, just don't track your walking around throughout the day. Let your activity be a part of that because it will cover your bases. And be as active as you can in the day. I mean, don't go crazy. But you get what I'm saying. For your average super morbidly obese person, do chores around the house. Be active. Get up and walk. Go to the store if you need to go and walk around the store. Park farther away. Do those types of things. Be generous with your energy. You have plenty of it on you. Even though a lot of people in this pseudoscientific, weird, gym bro, BS type of stuff, they lose caloric realism. When you are fat, you have a lot of excess calories on you. Be very generous with your energy. You're fine. You are okay. You're in a different state. It's different. It's the same thing with me being able to put on muscle in a deficit. It is different than somebody who is at 17% body fat. My 27% is drastically different. That is a hugely different circumstance. Fat is calories. Do I have to say this? Like, are we really at this point? It's crazy. Like I said, just don't track your pacing throughout the day. Don't factor that into your calories, and it will be fine. You will be okay. If you go to the gym and you do a dedicated workout and you want to count that towards it, then yes, that I would do. That I would suggest. But let your NEAT be your NEAT. Let it be.
Can't just look at a nutrition label and know exactly what you're putting in your body. Now, here's where it becomes complicated and why this is not a
It's going to be close enough. I don't know how many more times I have to say that, but whatever. Now she's going to... This is so complicated.
simple way to measure calories in, calories out. How do you know your calories out?
You can track it. Like I said, you can experiment and you can find it. That's up to you. You find it yourself.
How do you know how much energy you're expending in a day?
You find it yourself. You track it. You'll find out. It's almost like magic, but it isn't.
We can't measure it. We don't have a...
Yes, you can. You can track it yourself. Do you see how many times she says the same thing over and over again? I think she thinks that if she says it over and over again, that it becomes true. It doesn't.
Perfect scientific process to figure out how much...
Doesn't have to be perfect. What is this black and white thinking? Are you toxically ritualistic? Do you have a problem? What is this black and white? So we're going to be super gray and act like, again, a tablespoon of sugar can actually be anywhere from 10 calories all the way to 200 in one tablespoon. So, gosh, we're just all so blind when we're tracking our calories. Or we're going to be that gray there, or we're going to be so black and white. If it's not absolutely perfect, we can't know down to the exact, joule of energy, then just give it all up. You see how weird that is?
A human body expends in any given 24-hour period, and it fluctuates.
Yeah, because some days you're more active than others, but it's all about an average over a week, especially. You're fine. Be generous with your energy.
From day to day. So if let's say you find your basal metabolic rate, you multiply it times a 1.5 activity factor, that's a guesstimate. That's an average that you think that you're staying at. Things that can change your calories out.
Think that you're staying at, huh? I just don't know what is up with the gaslighting energy with these types of conversations. It's very annoying to me, and it has really pissed me off in my mid-size princess era. It has really pissed me off. It's come up a lot. And I don't know what the hell this is. I just don't. But it is interesting. When I became mid-size, it's like so many people they acted like I forgot everything about how to downsize. Or even though I came from a much bigger size, I probably lost more than they did. They acted like I forgot everything. They acted like everything I'd done on my channel prior to becoming mid-size was somehow erased. It was the weirdest thing. And that's why I do believe mid-size exists as a category, and I will continue to push it because people don't actually see you as fat anymore. So all of a sudden, you don't know anything about being fat. It's very bizarre. Super bizarre. And that's even from people that are not within fat acceptance. It's like a weird thing. To me, I think it's something within the toxic ritualistic world, which again, that goes across all of them because they all struggle with caloric realism. All of them do. It's a very difficult concept for them. And it's just odd because that's so gaslighty. You can tell because you can find your balance. You can find it. You can be a scientist and you can track, okay, I had this much this week. Nothing happened. I had this much this week. Nothing happened. I had this much this week. Once you get on a trajectory, then it's fine. Then you found it. You can go down and you can track it. I go down as I downsize. And so it's enough. It's always been fine. If I plateau, it's usually because of, at this time, like muscle building or swelling or these types of things. I've had a lot of times where I swell quite a bit. I keep the calories the same until it goes down, and then it goes down again, and then I lower it again. But you have to find that starting point. That starting point can be tricky, but you can find it by very slowly, like basically tracking a normal day for you, then slowly reducing over a long period of time, and you will find it. You will. It is not rocket science. It's a little bit of science, but it won't kill you.
Activity level, obviously. Changes in your body composition, whether they're intentional or not. Hormones.
For example, you can build muscle. That will help with your equation. If you're having issues with that, she's acting like you can't do anything about all these things too. Like she's like, changing your body composition. You can do something about that. You can build muscle. Okay, problem solved. Hormone changes.
Change this drastically, okay? Your metabolism can change because of health.
Not drastically. It's slight. It is more of a slight thing. How it tends to manifest is you will become hungrier. The caloric realism element doesn't ever go away with hormone issues. Where you can have some gray area is in terms of serotonin, especially peripheral serotonin, which I've talked a lot about. But guess what? Somebody who's super morbidly obese, they have very high levels of peripheral serotonin that does slow down brown fat, etc., which does slightly slow down your metabolism. But as you get out of obesity and you get out of these things, that normalizes. So again, there's something that can be done about it. Hypothyroidism, there is a prothyroid protocol. There's a lifestyle. There's lifestyle factors you can do. There's also medication if you're having issues with production. Same thing with diabetes. There's plenty of medications for diabetes. With PCOS, there are many different treatment options. There are things to be done about hormone issues. Why are we acting like there isn't? Why are we acting like we're in the Stone Ages? There are solutions here. Why are you acting like just because someone has a hormonal issue, there's nothing that can be done about it? When there are often traditional medication and even alternatives if somebody cannot afford that. There are other ways of looking at things too. There are many, many options. Many things to be done. And you look at your situation and what you can do, what you can handle, etc., etc. You're an adult. Figure it out. Figure out what you personally need to do. There are options for you. I support people to find the options that they need to do and to what's available to them. You know? There's plenty of things to be done. Plenty. But you have to figure it out. You have to take an active role in your health. You have to pursue solutions.
Health issues because of hormone issues. Another major thing that
can be fixed and dealt with.
Change your metabolism is medication.
So if your medication is making you super morbidly obese, you're going to have to come to a point where you need to decide what is more important. What is more of an issue for you? There are plenty of medications that can cause weight gain or can make you hungrier. But you have to prioritize the issue at hand, and you have to figure out what you need to do. And you need to figure out if those medications have to be permanent or not, which in many cases they don't. So it's not an excuse. And also you can look at other medications that can counteract the effects. For example, let's give a good one. Let's say somebody's taking Ozempic. Ozempic can have an anti-thyroid effect. But what if that same person takes a thyroid medication? That would balance it out. So it would work. There are solutions. There are things to be done to balance things. You can find a solution. You can find a combination. But it does take a little effort. And in most of your situations, downsizing is going to help you. Because being obese, it's going to make everything worse. So you have to do what you have to do. And if you reach a point where downsizing is the most important thing, where it's going to kill you faster than whatever the medication is saving you from, then you're going to have to consider getting off of it. You know, this logic doesn't work. If somebody's getting towards 400 pounds because of a medication they're taking, they might need to consider an alternative, which there likely is an alternative. It just might not be ideal. But you don't just handle it. You don't. You try to figure it out. You try to compensate for it. You try to find other solutions. You try to find a combination of medication. You look at things. You look at things. I don't know why this is so hard for her to understand. There is usually a solution. It may not always be easy, but there's something there. I understand complicated health issues. I do. I've had them before. I know people in my life that have had them. It's difficult, but there is usually a solution. If you seek, you will find it. But it does take effort, and it may be slower for you, or a little harder in some ways. But typically, harder and weight loss means slower. It may be slower, but slow doesn't mean never. Slow doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It means it's going to happen slower. It doesn't have to be so black and white, you see? People are not talking about looking like a model for everybody. That's not the goal. That's not what we're talking about. It's ridiculous how she's acting.
That can be one of the side effects, is that it can change the speed of your metabolism. It can change things in your digestive tract so that you...
Okay, well, one of the compensations for that may be to shift your diet, for example. If the medication is very important, then you can shift your diet. You can consume less. If your metabolism is that much slower due to a medication, it's probably going to lower your appetite too. It's very rare to find a medication that will drastically increase your appetite and drastically decrease your metabolism at the same time. Typically, there are medications that make you hungrier, and that's what the issue is. It goes back to hunger most of the time.
absorb more or less food. Lots of things that can change your calories out number. So there are all different ways that the calories...
Other medications can cause swelling and things like that, or blood sugar issues. But again, you have to find a balance. It has to still make sense. You can't be 400 pounds because you're on a medication. So what are you going to do? You see? Doesn't make sense.
out can change, and a lot of those are out of our control, and that's what people have been trying to...
It's not. You're in control of a medication. You're in control of what you're ingesting. You're in control of your activity level. You may not be in control of certain conditions you have, but you are in control of whatever compensations you put into effect for said conditions. Having a health issue means you typically have to be more strict, not less. The compassionate thing would be to encourage people with health issues to be stricter. not looser. Not, oh, it just doesn't matter, so who cares? That's horrible. There are so many conditions that are made worse by being obese. Which, by the way, including your ADHD, according to your username. It's not right. This isn't right. You do the best you can. I will always advocate, do the best you can. I understand there are people with disabilities, people with complicated health issues, people that need to take medications, but you need to compensate for it as much as you can. Because not caring about the issue, not caring about weight because you have these other issues is only going to make those issues worse. And it is not compassionate to advocate for people with issues to not care. That is horrible.
To tell you guys for years. It's not that simple. It's not just calories in, calories out. There's so many different factors that happen, so many complicated factors in the human body that y'all just don't understand. And you need to leave.
It is about that at its core. The out may be different, the in may be different, but it's still calories in, calories out. That's just a fact. I will always tell you guys your macros and stuff, that can be very genetic. What will work for one person will not work for another. There are a lot of things that are genetic, like sleep, for example, the amount of sleep, that's also highly genetic. Some people do great with less, some people do great with more. You should know yourself enough. There are some genetic differences between individuals, but they act as if we are not in our bodies, or we are not our bodies, so we don't know our bodies. It's like you can get to know your body. You probably know certain things, like, oh, if I have a lot of carbs, it makes me hungry, or oh, if I don't have enough carbs, it makes me hungry. You probably know things like that. So take care of yourself. If you don't know things like that, then figure it out. I'm not going to accept laziness and, oh, we just don't know, and oh gosh, it's all out of our control. No, it isn't. It is not.
This to the professionals, because it's not as easy as eating less and exercising more. Okay.
You need to take an active role in your health. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting help from professionals whatsoever. Get help. But you need to also take an active role, and you need to educate yourself about your issues, because there are going to be times where you need to advocate for yourself within a professional setting. There are going to be times where, hey, maybe I need to take a different thyroid medication, and I might have to argue or advocate for that with my doctor or with my insurance provider because the one that I'm taking isn't working for me. You have to be very aware of yourself. And if you have conditions and stuff, you need to advocate for yourself. You need to know about your condition as much as you can, and you need to make sure that you're being taken care of well. I don't understand this extremely passive role that she is promoting. It's not to say that you should fight with every doctor, but it's to say that you should be educated about your issues as much as you can be, which most people are. Maybe some people aren't. I know a lot about hypothyroidism, for example. A lot. But you can find things out. It's not that complicated. She's acting, it is complicated. It can be complicated, but it's not like impossible. And typically, if you have these conditions, you're invested in figuring out a way to alleviate or put them in remission, or at the very least not complicate them with obesity, which obesity will complicate almost every condition. I don't know that there is a condition made better by being obese. Let me know if you guys can think of anything. But anyways, with that, I'm going to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love to read your comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.